just to put my foot down somewhere. I'm going to start at the point where you should have a soundproofed, acoustically treated room, or as close to possible, with a whole bunch of unopened boxes of essential equipment, non-essential equipment piled up everywhere. So now you're going to open each box individually, take out the contents, set it up in the perfect location, and attach it to the previously opened and placed piece of gear. This part of the process I really enjoy. It requires time and a Zen attitude, because little stresses are going to find you along the way. You have to look at the big picture. The first piece you will want to set up is the computer. So make sure that you set it as far enough away from your listening position and recording areas as possible so that any internal fans that come on will not affect your listening experience or bleed into your microphones. If you are still encountering noise from the computer, you might consider buying or building an isolation box to separate it from the rest of the room. If you have the money to buy one, there are several to choose from. Just Google computer ISO box. If you bought a USB multiport, now is the time to plug it into the computer. Next, plug your storage devices into the computer or the USB multiport, and ensure that your keyboard and mouse are working. The keyboard screen is displaying correctly, and your storage device is recognized. Next, you want to add the audio interface. Plug in the power and connect it to your computer via whatever connector your computer uses. Download the software from the interface company's website and install the software as directed. Once the software and drivers are installed and the interface is turned on, check your computer to ensure that the device is recognized. You will then want to point the computer's sound input source and output destination to the audio interface. It's now time to work on the monitors. In order to achieve the perfect mixing environment, it is crucial that your monitors are placed correctly in relation to your listening position. This position is known as the sweet spot. Placement is all about positioning the monitors so that they provide the perfect sound at this location. In a home studio, you probably won't have a room specifically designed for audio. Since the room has an impact on what you hear, it's important to make sure your monitor placement is best for the room you are working in. A symmetrical room where adjacent walls are parallel is better because any imbalances will be uniform for the left and right sides of the stereo field. If your room is rectangular, you'll want to center the monitors against the shorter wall to achieve more accurate results. If you have a room that looks like the fun house at an amusement park, then just try and find a wall that doesn't tilt too much. In any case, you never want to set up your monitors in a corner. This will cause the bass to collect and give you inaccurate audio and most likely a headache. The monitors should be placed a third of the distance between the front and back walls. The distance will prevent sound waves from hitting the wall and reflecting back at you, causing phase cancellation and other potentially harmful acoustic interactions. This will also give you room to move around back behind your desk. One of the most annoying things in a home studio is when you're not able to get to the back of your desk to fix and reroute cables. Believe me, I've been there. Monitors should be placed vertically so that the woofer is on the bottom and the tweeter is above. There are some exceptions, so read your manual to find out if they can be placed horizontally. Studio monitors sound best when listened to on axis, meaning that they should be pointed directly at the back of your head so that they are in line with your ears. This is because high frequencies are more directional than lower frequencies. You may not hear the high frequencies accurately if you're listening to speakers pointing too far off axis, straight ahead, for example. For this reason, the tweeters should also be at the same level as your ears. Ideally, monitors should be about 5.5 feet apart and should form an equilateral triangle with your head. If you're using speaker stands, the distance between the listening position and the monitors may be larger. In that case, to preserve the equilateral triangle, the monitors would need to be further apart. Use a tape measure for accuracy. You need to acoustically treat any hard materials around your monitors. And this can be your desktop, the sidewalls, the ceiling, your head. Just kidding. The back wall behind each monitor should have some kind of acoustic treatment to minimize the sound bouncing back. The locations where the sound hits the walls to the side of each monitor should also have acoustic panels in place. There's a placement technique called the mirror trick, which I've used and it works really well. Here's how it goes. Sit in the listening position, the sweet spot. Have someone move a mirror across the wall surface in between you and the monitor. Using a pencil, mark the beginning and the end points where the monitor is visible in the mirror. Do this for both walls, the left and right monitor. The pencil markings will determine where you should hang your acoustic panels. Acoustic treatment should be applied to all surfaces the sound comes in contact with, from all of the walls and corners of your space to the ceiling above your sitting position. I know that it is sometimes not possible to treat all of these areas acoustically, but do the best you can for your given specific circumstances. Yeah, even your desktop can reflect sound. The important thing to keep in mind here is that you want to minimize any reflection coming back to you. Reflections can cause comb filtering or phase cancellation, which can seriously mess with your sound. Go back and listen to the section on acoustic treatment for a more detailed explanation on the importance of properly tuning your room. With everything you've set up so far, you should be able to listen to sounds from your computer. Try playing a song from Spotify or wherever you stream your music. This is your audio wonderland, so it should sound magnificent. Now it is time to install the digital audio workstation, DAW, that you've carefully researched and selected. This is mostly a matter of downloading or popping in CDs if you are still into that kind of thing and following the instructions. My recommendation is, unless you know exactly what you are doing, to let the install software place the DAW system files in their default locations. This is where it expects to find them. If you install them to different folders and drives and are not completely sure of what you're doing, you and any future installation software can easily become confused when you do an update or encounter an issue. That being said, I also recommend that you save all of your sound libraries, samples, custom patches, and any other user files to a separate drive and not to the system drive. Create separate folders for each brand of software you are using: Native Instruments, Steinberg, Avid, Waves, UAD, etc. And subfolders for each instrument, plugin, etc. you use under that brand's folder. In my experience, saving these collections to their default locations when installing rather than a folder specifically set up for them will cause many hours of hassle when you're trying to find a user file, sample, or a patch from an instrument or a plugin's browser window. Once the DAW has been successfully installed, you will need to set the audio connections to point to the audio interface you previously set up. Since this has already been set up on your computer, your DAW should recognize the interface. Read through the DAW's manual to complete any additional setup required for your DAW to run successfully. This includes any MIDI devices you may be using. Those need to be recognized by the DAW if you're not plugging them directly into the computer via a MIDI to USB link. Finally, you will need to create input and output buses from and to your interface to receive audio from your microphone and line inputs and output audio to your speakers and headphones. You should now have everything hooked up, working, talking to each other, and you should now be able to record and listen back and create wonderful music.